That last hands that touched her were supposed to protect her. She flew to paradise to celebrate her birthday. She said yes to forever. She was 31, in love, and completely unaware that she would never make it back home. What you're about to see is disturbing. What you're about to hear is worse, because the man who was supposed to be her future may have been her ending. This is Ashlee Jenae, and this is the last trip she ever took. Before we get into what happened in that villa, you need to know who Ashlee was, because this isn't just a news headline. This was a real woman, a daughter, a friend, a creator, someone with a whole world ahead of her. Her full name was Ashley Robinson, but the world knew her as Ashlee Jenae, and she built that name herself one post at a time. She was a 31-year-old lifestyle content creator originally from New Jersey who had been living in Portland, Oregon. And if you've ever scrolled across her page, you'd understand immediately why people were drawn to her. She wasn't just posting content, she was selling a feeling, a vibe, a whole vision of what life could look like when you choose yourself. She was known for her aspirational soft life content. And if you don't know what the soft life movement is, think of it this way. It's a lifestyle philosophy, mostly embraced by Black women online, centered around peace, luxury, ease, and refusing to settle. No struggle, no chaos, just beauty, intentionality, and joy. And Ashlee embodied that completely. On Instagram, she maintained a following of over 88,000 and shared a range of lifestyle content, travel, fashion, self-care, moments that made you feel like you were right there with her. Her father, Harry Robinson, described her simply, "She's always smiling, she loved being in front of the camera." That tells you everything about who she was. She wasn't hiding from the world, she was inviting it in. She had family with ties to the Philadelphia region, people who loved her, people who were watching her grow, people who had no idea that in April of 2026, they would be making phone calls no parent should ever have to make. But before we get to that, we need to talk about the man who walked into her life, because Joe McCann is not just a name in this story. Joe McCann is a big part of how this story starts. Now, let's talk about Joe McCann, because if you're going to understand what happened in Zanzibar, you have to understand who Ashlee was with. Joe McCann is a Miami-based entrepreneur and the founder of a crypto investment management firm called Asymmetric Financial. He looked like a catch. With over 24 years of experience working on Wall Street and in Silicon Valley, this man had serious credentials. We're talking Microsoft, we're talking hedge funds, we're talking the kind of resume that commands a room the second you walk in. He was 45 years old. He had money, he had status, he had a public profile that screamed success. So how did a 31-year-old lifestyle influencer from New Jersey end up with a 45-year-old Wall Street crypto CEO? Ashlee, who goes by Ashlee Jenae online, took up with McCann in November 2024, one of her Instagram posts suggests. At that time, McCann's crypto firm was at the zenith of its success. Think about that timing. November 2024. McCann is at the top of his game publicly. His fund is doing well. He's everywhere in the crypto world. He's confident, powerful, and moving fast. And then comes Ashlee. Vibrant, beautiful, building something of her own online, full of life and full of ambition. McCann began bringing Robinson, who was 15 years his junior, to crypto events, and she began posting images of him on her social media accounts. She wasn't hiding him. She was proud. She was showing the world, look at this life I'm living. Look at this man. Look at us. The content creator also frequently posted with McCann, sharing loved-up snaps of their date nights and vacations. To her followers, it looked like a fairy tale. An influencer living her best soft life with a successful, well-traveled man by her side. The jet-setting, the luxury dinners, the trips, all of it documented, filtered, and shared. What happens behind the camera? What happens when the posts stop? What happens when the door of a luxury villa closes and no one is watching? We'll get there. But first, Tanzania. Take a moment with that. Exactly where I need to be. She was happy. She was glowing. She was engaged. She was in one of the most beautiful places on earth. She was celebrating herself. She FaceTimed her family to show them everything: the views, the wildlife, the ring. Her mother, Yolanda Endres, said she was starting the next chapter of her life. She called us to FaceTime us, to share with us her travel and her vacation. That's the last image her family has of her alive. Laughing, feeding a giraffe, happy. But here's where the story starts to shift. And I need you to pay very close attention to this next part. Because while Ashlee's Instagram was still glowing with birthday energy and engagement announcements, something was happening inside that luxury villa that nobody on the outside could see. Police said witness accounts indicate that the couple arrived at Zuri Hotel in Zanzibar on April 4 and had been quarreling frequently until the night of April 8. Frequently. Not once, not a one-time disagreement. Frequently. From the moment they arrived. Let that sink in. While she was posting paradise, there was conflict behind those closed doors. Witnesses at the resort were noticing. Staff were noticing. The arguments were not quiet, not contained. They were visible enough that the people working at this hotel felt they needed to step in. Authorities say she had been involved in a dispute with her fiancé, Joe McCann, shortly before she was found, with hotel staff reportedly stepping in and separating the two into different rooms. Hotel staff separated them. Think about that. This is a luxury resort. These are trained professionals whose entire job is to make guests feel comfortable and taken care of. For staff at a place like the Zuri Zanzibar to physically step in and separate two guests into different rooms, the situation had to have escalated to a point where they felt they had no choice. Moments before Ashlee was found unresponsive, hotel staff had intervened in a confrontation between her and her fiancé. They moved Joe to a separate villa, a 10-minute walk away. Now Ashlee was alone. In a villa, thousands of miles from home, in a foreign country, no family, no close friends nearby. Newly engaged to a man she'd been dating for just over a year. And whatever happened in that villa in the hours before, it was bad enough that the hotel felt they needed to keep them apart. What happened next is where this story becomes a true crime. This is the part that her family still cannot make sense of, and honestly, when you hear the details, you'll understand why. Police said the hotel worker used an emergency key and found Robinson in the room. A hotel worker with an emergency key. That tells you they were already concerned. You don't reach for an emergency key unless you believe something is very wrong. She was rushed to a local hospital, then transferred to another. According to police, Robinson was taken to a local hospital, then transferred to another hospital before being declared dead. And her family? They got a phone call. Not from Tanzanian authorities, not from the resort, from Joe McCann. Endres said that McCann called her on April 9th and told her that her daughter was in the hospital. He told me that Ashlee did something to herself and she was being taken to the hospital. And he told me she was stable. She was not stable. She was dying. And hours later, she was gone. Ashlee Robinson, Ashlee Jenae, 31 years old, gone. In a country far from home, far from her parents, far from everyone who loved her. Now, I told you at the start of this video that I would not get ahead of myself, and I meant that, because what comes next, the investigation, the autopsy findings, the questions that Ashlee's family are screaming for answers to, and the things that do not add up, that deserves its own deep dive. Suspicion grew. Witnesses came forward, McCann's communication was described as inconsistent, and new details about his background began to surface, details that changed everything about how people were looking at this case. Her family said it best, nothing about it makes sense, it just doesn't add up. And as this investigation continues, we are going to stay on it, every development, every detail, because Ashlee Robinson deserved her Chapter 31. She deserved all the chapters that were supposed to come after it, and the very least we can do is make sure her story is told, loudly, completely, and with the truth she deserves. If this video moved you, please subscribe, like, share, and comment her name below, because people like Ashley should never be reduced to a headline. Her name was Ashlee Jenae, and we are not done talking about her.